sought our hospitality, our protection. You couldn't even do it to them. And here you ruled for 1,000 years and you didn't do the job. Today, when we are speaking to our brethren, I said, look, the solution to our problem is change the people, convert them. Because numerically, you can never catch up with the Hindus in India. Because they are breeding faster than you. As it is, they are so many times more than you, and they're breeding faster than you. So up till Yawm al-Qiyamah, there's no chance. No chance you're going to catch up with them. So you'll ever be in the gutter. You'll ever be in this position, being the footballs of people, being the doormats of people, ever. So what to do? I said, look, there are people hungry for recognition in that part of the world. In India, they want recognition. We call them untouchables. हम कहते हैं ढेर है चमार है, ढेर and chamar, untouchables. They want recognition. You won't give them. You are Muslims today, but you are no better than the caste Hindus, the Brahman, the Hindu, my race, the Gujaratis, the Banyas. You are no better than them. Maybe there is a difference of degrees between them and us. We are a little less racist than they, but we are no less racist. All of us. There isn't a community in our midst who can say, look, we are not. The Pathan says, I'm Pathan. The Punjabi says, I'm Punjabi. The Sindhi has also something to fight about. And so the Bengali. Everybody has something about him. He makes him feel good. So he feels he's better than the other. And we have been in this country now, Pakistan, established. The first country on the map of the world, on the ticket of Islam, we established a nation. Ticket of Islam. Yeah, we will create an Islamic state. All will be Muslim-like, good Muslims. And I was one of those. As a young man, I was aspiring, says mashallah. I was fighting for it, for Pakistan. As a schoolboy, I was fighting for Pakistan. And Pakistan got established in 47. In 49, with my wife and children, I made a hijrah to Pakistan. Why? No force of circumstances. Nobody forced me. I had a good job, I had a good home, everything was fine. I had wife and 2 children. I said, no, I must go to Pakistan to become a Pakka Musalman. That's what brought me to this country. I lived here with you people for 3 years. 3 years I lived in Karachi. I came to Peshawar, there was no Islamabad then, Rawalpindi and so on. I went as far as Muzaffarabad, I came twice to Lahore, but I stayed in Karachi. After 3 years, I was worse than what I was when I left South Africa. You see, I was thinking the environment will have effect on me and my children. Because we are weak, we are all weak. Allah says, وَخَلَقَ الْإِنسَانَ ضَعِيفًا. He says, Allah has made man weak. We are all weak. We need support, help of one another, encouragement from one another. So I thought that will do the job. By staying among the Pakistanis, Pak Musalman, hum bhi Pak ban jayenge. But it didn't happen, so I went. And I think maybe there was also a blessing in that. Otherwise I wouldn't be standing here today. Because I would be making money, I tell you. In Karachi, I would have been making money. Yes, I'd be one of those newly rich guys. But Allah knows best. I had to come to Pakistan, so that urge, that thinking about going to Pakistan will be out of my system. Otherwise I couldn't be at rest. No matter what I did in South Africa, I would never have had peace. Because the mind was Pakistan, 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 and then Pakistan nahi aate, so that thing would never have gone. So I come and I go. Right. After 40 years, we haven't become Pakistanis. You know that? See, in my field, the field that I am now occupied in, trying to bring people from outside the pale of Islam to Islam. Bring them in. Make them Muslim. So I have been listening from my youth, when I'm talking to people, trying to convert them. He says, the old people say, he says, 40 baras lagte hain isko Musalman banne ko. So it will take 40 years for this guy to be Islamized, to become a Muslim. Meaning that the natural reflexes of a Muslim will only come into this new convert, it will take 40 years, means a lifetime. When he sees the pig, pork hanging in the butchery, that he can automatically start spitting. Automatically. Muh mein thuk aata hai. That will take him 40 years. This is napak. This is unclean. To reach that mental reaction. He says, it will take you 40 years. 40 बरस लगते हैं, वो कहते हैं, बुड्ढे लोग कहते थे, बुड्ढा now. He says to become a Muslim. I says, you know what? Now I'm discovering that in 40 years we didn't become Pakistanis yet. Forget being Muslims. You haven't become Pakistanis. He says, what are you? He says, hum Pathan hai, Pakhtun. Right? Pakhtun is hitting the Muhajir. Muhajir is still a Muhajir. Pakhtun is still a Pakhtun. The Sindhi is still a Sindhi. The Punjabi is still a Punjabi. Everybody, you are what you wear. हमारा इकबाल रोता था बेचारा कि यूं तो सैयद भी हो, मिर्जा भी हो, अफगान भी हो, यूं तो सैयद भी हो, मिर्जा भी हो, अफगान भी हो, तुम सभी कुछ हो, बताओ तो मुसलमान भी हो. मुसलमान तो जाने दो, पाकिस्तानी हम नहीं बने 40 बरस में. So the same. What is it? This is it, that we are not carrying out our responsibilities. Because if you start opening your mouth, you start delivering a message, you're trying to Islamize other people, you yourself imbibe those qualities. You want to make a pretense that you are not what you really are. You want to be a little good, appear good. We have certain idiosyncrasies, habits, bad habits. The best way to get rid of that bad habit is to preach against that. But you are a victim yourself, yes, but preach against it. This is another way, indirect way of changing, reforming yourself. The other way is be good and you talk good. That's one way. You be an example of what you're preaching. The other way is you preach against the thing that is in you which deserves condemnation. Preach to the others. Nicotine, very bad. You know what it does? I can give you statistics. You see, lung cancer, blood pressure, shortening your life, insurance companies, they victimize you, 10% extra premium for your insurance policies, all this. I said, look man, and your lungs polluting the atmosphere, wasting money, unwholesome thing, and your potency is reduced by 10%, says this biologist. Can you imagine? And you just squandering it away, throwing it away, you fools. What's wrong with you? People will give anything to get 10% extra potency, and you just throwing it away. So, but now I have a habit for nicotine, and I'm talking against it. While talking, the tendency is there by habit. My hand goes into the pocket, and I'm taking out my packet of fags, cigarettes. But before I do that, I say, well, I've been just talking to you people, telling you what a horrible thing it is. So leave it for the time being. That is subtle brainwashing. By telling you, I'm brainwashing myself. So if you start propagating Islam, the beauties of Islam, you can't help being affected by what you are preaching. But we have not done the job, and we are not likely to do the job. You know why? Because we are really not equipped. You see, South African students, Muslim students, you have a couple here, I understand. A lot of our young men are sent to Deoband and Jalalabad. It's India. Deoband and Jalalabad. They become alims. Some of them we send them to Rawalpindi. There is an institution there to become alims. About these South African Muslim students in Jalalabad and Deoband, I have been reading the annual meeting reports. And in the reports I've been reading again and again that the students are passing resolutions that when we return to Africa, we will propagate Islam. When we return to Africa, qualified, we will propagate Islam. And I'm watching, I'm waiting for them, and they come. Returning home, they're teaching little children, Alif Bete se, or they're doing our imamat for us, mashallah, or helping the fathers back in the business. There is not one alim doing propagation. Not one. So I'm thinking, my children are all hypocrites, munafiqs. And you know, the darja, the position of the munafiq, Allah says, Innal munafiqina fi darakil asfali minan nar. So most certainly the munafiq will be in the deepest depth of Jahannam, hellfire. Is this the destiny of my children? They sacrificed so much, they went into an inhospitable country, unhygienic conditions, poor food, and they spend 5 years, 10 years, and they return, hypocrites all, I can't accept that. Then what happened? When they pass resolutions, I say they were sincere. My children were sincere. But why aren't they doing it? Because they were not equipped. You can only take out what is put in. You know, in our computer, Allah's God-given computer, whatever is put in comes out. The American says in the human computer, electronic machine, he says, garbage in, garbage out. Whatever bhusa bharte hai, wo bhusa nikalta hai. And it's natural. What you put in is going to come out. In other words, your teachers and your professors, what they're putting in, same thing is going to come out when you go out from here. Nothing else. Now, man, what you think when you came in, what ideas you had, all will be lost. Whatever they're programming you with, that is what's going to come out. They're programmed with, I tell you what they're programmed with. They return with new ideas. Now they come to us and they tell us, our own children, he said, you see, all these while, it says, our people, when we make salat, after salat, we read dua, it's a fatiha. So when we read this dua, our imams were leading us, they were reading it loudly. Al-Fatiha. So everybody starts, you see. And we read, and he says, he reads Fatiha and this and those, all those beautiful Arabic blessings. And we say, Ameen, 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 Subhakuru Dawana, and Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. That is what 100%, every masjid in the country, this is what was prevailing. Now our young men come along, they got new knowledge. They said, you see, Allah is not deaf. Allah behra nahi hai. He was deaf for 1400 years. Now his ears are open. Yes, look. So now, because Allah is not deaf, so Allahumma, so everybody lifts up the hand. And then the Maulvi is reading to himself. There's a Waqru Dawran, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. What happened? He said, no. He said, he's reading it silently and Allah is not deaf, wo sunta hai. I said, but look man, I'm deaf. My children, the new convert, he wants to know what you're talking, what you're doing. He doesn't know. I said, look, if you read it loudly, through the year the poor fellow will imbibe so much. A lot of things that I'm speaking to you now, I didn't actually open the Quran to learn verses. I didn't. It's only listening. Through the year I learned a lot of things. So now we are depriving the new convert, the Muslim, hardly any Muslim in the community, he can read a dua. Hardly any Muslim. You can't tell anybody, right, Fatiha padh do. He said, you. Nobody is capable, but the poor alim, he doesn't know. He doesn't know that. That all his congregation, they are bichare kehte hain ki kore means absolutely blank. You didn't teach them, and now you're depriving them of the pleasure of listening to Allah's kalam or the dua. You learn something new. Whether now you should lift up your hands for dua or stand straight and make dua. Whether you must say salami or no salami. Busy. Everybody is busy, keeping us busy. About your beard. दाढ़ी नहीं रखते तुम लोग? दाढ़ी रखिए तो standard size नहीं है? Huh? I had one of your professors meeting me this morning, and he had a nice, lovely small goatee, small, nice beard. But I noticed that he had shaved his mustache. He had shaved his mustache. Now, if I was one of those guys, I would have told him straight away, because somebody had told me once. He said, you shave your mustache? I said, yes. He says, the sunnah is, our Nabi said, you must trim the mustache, not shave it. They're busy. The house is on fire. Our daughters are running away wholesale with the mushriks. Nobody worries about that. They're Christianizing our men and women. For every one boy we lose to Christianity, we're losing 3 girls. Nobody's worried about that. The house is on fire. Nobody worries about that. They're worrying about the beard. They're worrying about the clothing. Say, Nasara ka kapda pehante hain, tum daadi rakhte nahi. Busy. Everybody's busy. While the enemy is making inroads. We are kept busy. Shaitan hame sabko busy rakhta hai. In India, same. I said, look man, propagate the faith. This is hamara ठिकाना nahi hai. We are not perfect. I'm asking, when will you be perfect? Will you ever be perfect? Is it possible that the whole Muslim world, 1,000 million today, will all become angels? Masoom sab ban jayenge, namazi ban jayenge, daadi wale ban jayenge sab. Can you imagine such a situation? When you become that angelic, Allah won't need you anymore, I'm telling you. He'll wipe you out. Look, he's got plenty of angels, hasn't he? Subhanallah karne wale bahut hai. Angels by the myriads, myriads. But he needs you. I said, look, he needs you as you are. That you fall. That when you make a mistake and you get up and you cry and you try to walk straight again and you fall again. He loves that. He loves that. He wants you to be that. Otherwise, angels, he's made them enough. हमारा ठिकाना नहीं है. I'm asking, तुम्हारा ठिकाना कब होगा? When will you be perfect? Is there a single man who can tell you that is perfect? The greatest man you consider, this will be the greatest, the most spiritualistic, Sufistic, हमारे पीर साहब. Catch your पीर साहब and ask him. He says, पीर साहब, are you perfect? He says, नहीं, हम गुनहगार हैं, हम ऐसे हैं, वैसे हैं. This is humility. But if he says yes, he's big shaitan. Whoever says yes, I'm perfect, he's big shaitan. So the man in humility says, हम तो बहुत गुनहगार हैं, ऐसे अल्लाह हमारे ऊपर रहम करे. So when will you be perfect? When will you start? They're waiting for perfection. हमारा ठिकाना नहीं. I said, look in South Africa, in my own country now. I said, you know, the Muslim, he is the topmost in brotherhood, in piety, in charity, in sobriety. There is not another community in that country that can show a candle to us, to show us that we are better than you. There isn't. We are boasting, and nobody ever contradicts me in public meetings. I say, look, we Muslims, we have the lowest alcoholic consumption in the country. We have the lowest gambling rate in the country. We have the lowest divorce rate in the country. We have the lowest suicide rate in the country. We have the lowest prison rate in the country, and the highest charity rate in the country. And yet we get no converts. The Christian, with all his arrogance, his racism, he is getting converts. What is the reason? You tell me. How is it that he is getting converts and we are not? Either Islam is a spent force, good enough for a museum, the Quran and everything about Islam, put it in a museum, like the one you have in Taxila, what our ancestors, 5,000 years ago what they did, in Taxila outside Rawalpindi. Nahi dekha hoga to jaakar dekhna, is worth seeing. What our ancestors, 5,000 years ago, what they had here on this subcontinent. And what about Suraj? You know that? They made gold jewelry as modern as today's jewelry. 3,000 years before Jesus was born. They made muslin cloth, a yard muslin cloth, you can hold it in the palm of your hand. Go and see it in the museum in Taxila. Then you know. What happened? A people so high, when the white man was living in caves wearing skin, my ancestors were civilized. Then what happened? The same neglect, shirk, mushriks. Allah brought them down to that level. You and I, nobody is exempt. His law is eternal for all times. In Pakistan, talking about India, we can laugh at them now. The fools are not seeing that the solution to the problem is change the untouchables. Accept them, bring them in. No, we are busy with you. Ke Musalman ko Musalman karo. In the meantime, the enemy is going to wait for you to become perfect. In Pakistan, for what I'm given to understand, you can correct me. So there are so many cities in Pakistan with an average population of more than 100,000 Christians each. Karachi, more than 100,000 Christians. Multan, more than 100,000 Christians. Lahore, more than 100,000 Christians. I was saying Sialkot, to somebody corrected, is more than 200,000 Christians. They are coming from 5,000 miles, 10,000 miles away and converting our people. They are our people. They can be untouchables. Whatever they are in your field. They are in your home. And the guy comes outside and steals them. And you do nothing. You don't even feel jealous. This is what I found in Malaysia. The Malay has the sickness. I don't know if there are any Malays. Go and tell them that to your Malaysian, your people. In the Islamic University of Kuala Lumpur, the Christian missionaries are running amok. The Muslim does nothing. Oh, they're converting the Buddhists. They're converting the Hindus. So what? You see, we Muslims are safe. Because if a Malay becomes murtad, he loses his nationality. So now the government is saving you. It's not your deen, it's not your iman, it's not your thinking. It's the government is saving you by threat that you won't be a Pakistani. If you become a Christian, finish. You have no longer Pakistani nationality. In the meantime, the missionaries are on this campus, they're converting the people wholesale, and the Malay, my brother, very good fellow, very nice, soft, nice chap, the sweetest people. Malays and Indonesians, nice, soft people. Nice, soft people, ready for to be chewed up by everybody. Yeah, because you're so nice, so kind. My father taught me, he says, my son, don't be so sweet that people will chew you up, and don't be so bitter that people spit you out. I'm trying to keep the balance. The Malay is too sweet. The Indonesian is too sweet. So they're chewing him up. They're chewing him up. In Indonesia, they have perverted more than 15 million Indonesians into Christianity. And by the turn of the century, they want to make Indonesia a Christian nation, and every sign shows that they'll succeed, the Christians. They are now working concertedly, all the Christians. In my country, they're fighting like cats and dogs. We have 1,000 different sects and denominations among the whites of South Africa, and 3,000 among the blacks. Different sects and denominations. They are fighting for converts. Not so in Indonesia. They says, we go for what is called Operation Overkill. Inki satyanas kar do. Just finish them up, man. We'll Christianize them all. Later on, we'll fight for the loot. Whether bring them into Roman Catholics or as Jehovah's Witnesses, we'll fight later. Now, time is wipe them out. And things are working. In Pakistan, we say, look, we are so far, we haven't lost a Khan yet, and we haven't lost a such and such, we haven't lost a Deedat yet. Is that consolation? These are achuts. These achuts no longer will remain achuts. They won't be achuts all the time. They're getting education, and they have a right to demand equality according to the percentage of the people here in government. You say no, you are unjust. You have to be fair to people. We want that in Hindustan. We say, look, man, we are not in the army, we are not in the police force, we don't get government jobs. We have a right. We are so many percent of the people, at least that percentage we should be given opportunity. We are asking, and we think it's right to ask that. Won't they have the same right? They would have the same right. A potential fifth column. So what you do? Go and kill them? No. Force them back into Islam? Into Islam? Says no. Allah says, like Rafiddin. What do you do? I said, what about you? Why aren't you converting them? They are in your field. They are in your yard. They are in your home, in your homeland. Why aren't you converting them? The dhel hai, chamar hai. I said, now, when Allah does yastabdil qawman ghayrakum, I said, He puts upon you a people that you look down upon most. They are going to rule you. How? I don't know. How 10% of the people can rule you, 10%. You don't need 80%, 90%. Look at the countries in Africa, Muslim countries, Muslim majority nations, ruled by Christians. Tanzania, 85% Muslim, ruled by Christians. Tanzania in the University of Dar es Salaam, a nation is 85% Muslim, only 5% are in the university. Why? Are they all imbeciles, lunatics, Muslims got no brains? What is happening? No, there is a policy. They'll make you to fit into the condition of becoming sweepers yourself. And through education and learning, they will be there. They'll be your ministers in parliament. They will be there. You can't say no. This is a democratic country. Our constitution enshrines freedom of religion, by all means. But what are you doing? Now this is for you, my children, at the university. You are the future leaders of this nation. I don't know, we have wasted 40 years already. 40 years have gone, I tell you, down. The water has flown and we have done nothing. The elders have done nothing. It is for you now to think and plan what is wrong with us. How is it that we can't do what the Christian can do? How is it that he is dedicated? He can leave his hearth and home, his comfortable homes in England and America, and come along in this unhygienic conditions in the villages. Eating dust, smoke in the eyes, flies buzzing around him. How can he do it? How can he, 79 refugee Christian missions there around Peshawar, and we have only 9. What is it that motivates them? How is it that Islam can't motivate us? What is it? This is the message I leave with you, my dear children, that look, heed the warning. Allah says, يَسْتَبْدِلْ قَوْمًا غَيْرَكُمْ. He will substitute in your place another people. ثُمَّ لَا يَكُونُوا أَمْثَالَكُمْ. Then they won't be like you. Jazakallah for this opportunity of talking to you all. Shukran.
Dear brothers, as Dr. Hassan Shafi announced earlier, the floor is now open for questions, particularly from the students. So anyone wishing to ask any questions can do so.
There is no such thing as the best method. There are so many ways of doing a job. One is we say, look, we ourselves are not perfect. Let us improve ourselves. Very noble thought. But as I said, look, the enemy is not going to wait for you till you become perfect. Then he will give battle to you. In the meantime, he's stealing your children. So you need another front. At every front, you have to give battle. And each and every one, according to his genius, according to his talents, he must use them for the cause. I have chosen this method of speaking to Jews, Christians, Hindus, atheists and agnostics, a method laid down in the Quran, where Allah Bari Ta'ala says, قُلْ يَا أَهْلَ الْكِتَابِ تَعَالَوْا إِلَىٰ كَلِمَةٍ سَوَاءٍ بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَكُمْ. This last phrase, سَوَاءٍ بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَكُمْ. That means let us come to common terms as between us and you. Common terms, finding common terms. In legal terminology, they say common cause. Established common cause. Get to some understanding from which you can move. So that is the method that I'm using. Anything the man speaks, anything he says, anything he claims, the Christian, he makes certain claims. He is foremost in raising the dust throughout the world. At the moment, there are some 70,000 full-time crusaders active in the world, of which 60% are Americans. That is, 42,000 Americans, crusaders, are raising the dust throughout the world. They're not worried about the people at home. कि American को अच्छा Christian बनाओ. They are rotten to the core at home. In their own motherland, they have problems beyond imagination. Last June or the June before, 300,000 sodomites, you call them Qawmi Lut, they gathered in San Francisco on a pilgrimage led by 50 lesbians on motorcycles. America has a surplus of women, 7.8